Hey friend, Chris here from WhyLogicProRules.com, the website that helps you get the most you can out of Apple's Logic Pro. Today I want to show you how awesome Live Loops is for capturing your different creative ideas on the fly. Instead of you having to know the arrangement of your song before you even start recording, so if we take a look at the tracks area, the more traditional sense of writing and recording and production from left to right in a linear fashion, instead you can record different independent ideas into any cell along the grid. And then you can test drive or play back those different cells from anywhere on the grid side by side, not necessarily an entire row or column. So you can test drive different ideas, see how they gel together before you commit to an entire arrangement of a song. And it's easy to assume that the Live Loops works really well for more contemporary styles of production, like beat making for hip hop or electronic music. So today I want to show you how this is not just for these styles of production. We're going to record guitar and bass, lay down some drummer cells as well. And we're just going to use audio. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to lay down these audio ideas into the grid, tighten things up, quantize them, all the good stuff. Cool, so let's start laying down ideas into the cells in the Live Loops grid. We're going to start with a Dublin delay track lane, and I have a guitar lead idea in mind. And obviously, there's different track lanes, much like the tracks area, and each track lane has its own row of cells that's specific to that particular track. But they don't play back from left to right. Instead, they play back just on a loop-based basis on each individual cell. So let's lay down a guitar lead idea using my Gilbert Les Paul. I know nothing about this guitar, but I've had it forever. If you know anything about this thing, please leave a comment, email me. I would love to know more, but I've had it forever. So we're going to record into the first cell on the Dublin delay track lane. And obviously, you would just record enable your track and also turn on software monitoring if that's helpful to you. We're going to include the click just initially because I need a timing reference of some sort. And this is really important to point out because the entire Live Loops grid is based on tempo and the grid. That's how Logic can play back each cell side by side in time with one another. Also, where the start and stop times occur. And, so you just need to land on a tempo initially. And of course, you could change the tempo later if you see fit. Once record enabled, we are offered the ability to record into individual cells with this record button. So let's do that right now. I'm not going to wow anybody with my guitar playing skills, but let's just get to it. Cool, so we lay down our idea. If we take a look at the editor for this cell, so you just select a cell that has information or a cell living in it. So audio in this case, we're going to go up to the scissor icon to open the editor or key command E. If we take a look at this particular cell, we can see that the loop length is pretty good. We're starting at bar 1, obviously, but we're going to the end of bar 5, which obviously there's no audio there. I kind of held out and did nothing on purpose just to show you this. And so the loop length and the start and end lengths are separate from one another. So in this case, we could adjust the loop length to start from bar 3 to the end of bar 4. So if we hit play on this region, take a listen and a look. So that could be helpful. You can also adjust this in the cell inspector up here. So we start at bar 1, the loop starts at bar 3, the loop length is 2 bars, and the cell length is 5 bars. Okay, but I would prefer just to loop, bars 1 through 4. So we're going to adjust the length of the loop section right here. And then we have these 2 little arrows on the left and right hand side that indicate the start and stop of the cell length. We're just going to set it to bars 1 to the end of bar 4. And if we go back to the cell inspector, we can see starts at bar 1, loop length 4 bars, cell length 4 bars. Perfect. From here, let's record some more cells. Now, you could record into a new cell, but let's take a look at recording into a cell that already has existing information. If we take a look at the cell inspector again, we have this option for recording either to takes or replace altogether. So I want to record to take so I can flip through these different ideas in a take folder, essentially. And we're going to record right into the cell again. If we right click or hold control and click, we have an option to record into that same cell, or you could use key command option R. Now it's worth pointing out, when you record into an empty cell, there is no limit to how long you can record into that cell. So you can play for 18 bars if you want. But if you're recording a take into a cell that has an existing take, you are then limited by the cell length. So if we click on this empty one, we do have a cell length of 4 bars, but there is no limit really. But if you record into this existing take, you are limited by that cell length. So let's try recording right now, and I'll try to play beyond 4 bars just so you can see that Logic's just going to cut it right off. Here we go. Cool, so you can see that the length of the take is now limited by the length of the previous take, the original take in that cell. We now have options for different takes that we can choose from just by clicking on the number in the top left-hand corner. We can flip between them. We also have a number in the bottom left-hand corner that tells us how many takes are living on that cell. So I'm going to switch back to my first take, and we're going to open up the editor once again by clicking on the scissors. And next up, I'm going to enable Flex View for this particular performance. Just so I feel better, I'm going to quantize my guitar performance. Now you could, of course, go to the cell inspector where there's a quantize option. There's a disclosure triangle, and you could switch between classic quantize or smart quantize. I'm going to stick with classic quantize. Smart quantize is more for like MIDI performances. And you can switch between different values. So we can select an 1/8 note value, open up that editor again. But in this case, because of the take folder, I'm not seeing any changes in quantization. So instead, in this view, the editor, I'm going to press Q to quantize. And there we have it. So let's take a listen to this performance now with the click. All right, so that sounds good. We're going to get rid of the click. We're going to close the editor. We're also going to populate a drummer cell here. So we have something to play alongside to, and then we can play the entire row top to bottom if we'd like. Cool, I'm feeling pretty good about that. From here, let's record a simple rhythm guitar on the broken up Brit guitar track cell lane. And I'm going to play for a little longer so I can create multiple performances from one cell. So let's take a look and a listen. Okay, let's pop open the editor, and we're just going to immediately quantize this performance. So if we actually, right up here, we should see the changes now in the editor when we go to quantize and switch it to 1/8 note. There we have it. Awesome. Okay, so this performance I played twice. And what I want to do is I want to create 2 separate guitar performances from this one cell. What we'll do is we're going to adjust the loop length and the end length to the end of bar 4. So let's bring that little arrow guy with us as well. Okay, so we have one guitar performance that's 4 bars. And we're going to duplicate the cell onto the next track lane for the broken up Brit track that I have on the right side. And if we go into the editor for that performance, let's now just adjust the boundaries. The end of bar 8. Let's adjust the loop as well. And then let's adjust the beginning to start at bar 5. Now we should have 2 guitars that play simultaneously on hard left and hard right, and we get that true doubled rhythm guitar track sound. So let's play the entire scene. Awesome. So I'm going to lay down some bass as well, but I have a kind of a lead guitar thing, just like a little like squealing thing that I want to throw in about halfway. So let's record enable US metal guitar, and let's get that down real quick. Here we go. Okay, sick, right? So let's pop this open, take a look. We're going to quantize. I'm just hitting Q on my Mac keyboard to immediately quantize. And we can see that the loop length is 4 bars. And what I want to do from here now is I want to add some automation. I had an idea. If we pop open the automation view by clicking on this button up here or using key command A, I'm going to actually adjust the panning. So I want this to start on the left-hand side and work its way to the right. And if we take a look at the bus situation here, I have bus 3 that's sending to this howl reverb that I've created with chroma verb. So let's go back to the editor, and I've selected pan under automation, and I'm going to have this start right about here. I'm using the marquee tool, which is my mouse tool here in the editor, just holding command to bring it up, and I'm going to click. And look at that. We now have automation for the panning. I'm going to adjust it all the way down, get rid of that one node. And now when we play back this one cell, we should hear it go from left to right. Here we go. Awesome. So let's get that bass down now. You can see that I'm using a third-party plugin that I'm trying out, and it creates a little bit of latency. In fact, if we go to Logic Pro Preferences under Display and then Show Help Tags, we can just hover our mouse over that plugin and we can see that it creates 2100, 2200 samples of latency. So we need to not have it create latency. I'm going to turn on low latency mode and record into this first cell on the bass track lane. So here we go. Awesome. Let's open up the editor again. We're going to quantize everything, and it's based on that 8th note quantization value. Let's shrink it up. Let's close automation view, open up flex. Beautiful. And we can see the loop length is the 8 bars. And you could even just say, hey, the first half was better than the second half, or the second half better than the first. You can just loop that section, and Logic is none the wiser, right? So at this point, I'm going to switch to a different version of this project just so you can see it fully fleshed out with the different ideas that I came up with. Let's switch to a different project alternative here. So let's save, go to File, go to Project Alternative, and switch to the first version of this project. All right, so we have this more fleshed out version of the project. I've laid down a number of ideas, kind of in an intro, chorus, verse arrangement. Scene 1 is the intro. Scene 2 is the chorus, or kind of like jamming section. And scene 3 would be a verse. Now, of course, we could play each of these scenes just by clicking on the little hat at the bottom and just play this scene, for example. Or we could play cells independently anywhere on the grid. So if we select 3 different cells, so I'll hold Shift to select different cells from different scenes. So it doesn't matter where they are. We can then right-click or hold Control and click to cue the cell for playback. So when we hit play, these cells will play back together. Here we go. Awesome. So you get the picture. And once you hit an arrangement that you're happy with, well, lo and behold, if we pop open both the grid area and the tracks area, we can record into the tracks area very easily just by going over here, clicking on the little record into the tracks area button, and you just start loading scenes as you hit record. So let's hit record right now, and we'll just throw in a couple of scenes into the tracks area. And just like that, everything's populated over here in the tracks area. We click the arrows in the column here that kind of tells Logic which side are you looking at. Do you want to play back the live loop section or the tracks area? We can see that things have been looped. We have our different take folders that we recorded. I mean, it's pretty fantastic. And just like that, you can throw your ideas into the live loop section very quickly and easily, trim up the cell start and stop time, the loop start and stop time, add automation, quantize. This is the area for you to just like capture ideas. And you don't necessarily have to commit to those ideas. You don't necessarily have to have an arrangement already in mind. You can figure it out as you go. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, as always, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel, Why Logic Per Rules, or subscribing on the website itself, whylogicperrules.com. Every week I'm posting new videos, emails, and posts to help you get the most you can out of Apple's Logic Pro. Thanks so much.